Good evening, fellow compatriots, men and women, young people, and children of the Republic of Zambia. We have decided to address the nation on the conviction of Chishimba Kambwiliz, and we'll do so by comprehensively looking at the justice system of our country. The conviction of Chishimba Kambwiliz is the conviction of the entire state, that is the Republic of Zambia. The miscarriage of justice, no matter how solid the evidence on any case may be, must be viewed as an attack on civility, an attack on democracy, and generally an attack on humanity, the dignity of humanity. When our founding fathers and mothers united and rose above tribe and color, we had Zambians who settled, or shall I say Northern Rhodesians who settled, who came from Greece, some came from Europe. I'm talking about the Jews who came to Zambia, Greeks, Gentiles, Indians. We have families today in Zambia, that is Zambians of Indian origin, who are in the 3rd to 4th generation. They came to settle among us. Everyone united above tribe and color to fight for freedom. And as the saying goes, that in every society, there are two opposing forces, the oppressed and the oppressors. That a time always comes when the oppressed oppress the oppressors, meaning they rise to stop the oppressors. We have seen in the history of humanity, in the history of nations, how those who thought they were the powerful dictators, they were powerful men and women who were untouchable, how they ended up dying or being eliminated by the people when they rose. Let me say this from the outset. The so-called Constitution of Zambia, which is not a constitution at all, puts what are called limitations, derogations, on the part of those that are governing, those that are given the power to govern the republic on behalf of all of us as citizens. But those limitations do not apply to the citizens of Zambia. The people of Zambia have the right at any time to stand up if they believe that the constitution, which must give certain guarantees, is not being followed by those who are governing them, they can set it aside. We have seen these things happen. Remember in Madagascar, the then ruler thought that he was going to use state agencies, was going to rig the elections, and that had all the numbers wanted to manipulate. The people of Madagascar rose from the four corners of Madagascar. They went to the State House and they told the president, here we are, count us 20 millions. We didn't vote for you. Who voted for you? The Madagascar case must be a lesson to the Patriotic Front government. That's why we are appealing to citizens. Don't lose hope. Young people, don't lose hope. They bring in online registration, or shall I say new registration from online, that of course there will be a moment that you physically go to polling stations to go and register as voters. Just do so. They have the instruments of power. Just do so. Just do so. But I can assure you, there is no government which is too powerful to defeat people power. Remember what happened in Belgium, when the military tried to stage, a coup. They had all the military, hardware. But citizens went on the streets. They prevailed against the machinery, against military hardware. Don't worry about all the things that we are seeing. For me, I just laugh. And if there's a time to pray proper prayer as it is now, we know who the enemies of Zambia are. Every thief, whether in opposition or ruling party, is an enemy of the people of Zambia. The country of Zambia does not have a constitution, and we in the UPP have been very consistent. We've been talking about this since 2009, that what we have is Schedule 2 of the Order in Council itself, which was derived from the Zambia Independence Act, Section 65 of the Laws of England, Zambia Independence Act of 1964. In other words, the British government took a bill to the House of Commons to enact a law called Zambia Independence, a bill which became an Act of Parliament. Now, that Act of Parliament provided for the guaranteeing or the giving, the granting of powers to Her Majesty the Queen to issue what are called royal orders. So, in the pursuance of the provisions of the Zambia Independence Act, Section 65 of the Laws of England, Her Majesty the Queen issued royal orders. Now, those royal orders gave an attachment, which is Schedule 2, which is called the Constitution. It was not a constitution at all, because the Constitution of any country is a supreme law of the land. Therefore, it cannot be derived from an act of parliament. I don't know the people, you people of Zambia, when you are going to listen to this message. We've been saying this since 2009, when we were created as UPP. If you don't listen to this, I do not believe that there will be any hope for this country. So all regimes that have come, in other words, all regimes that have come, they have maintained the same schedule. What must have happened is what India did, what America did, what Ghana did, what all countries in the Commonwealth did. That's why Zambia is talking about the Constitution. Zimbabwe is not talking about the Constitution. Botswana is not, and many other Commonwealth countries. Because what they did was, after the law, which is a foreign law, a foreign piece of legislation, which gave nations independence, nations made as sovereign states to enact their own constitutions, which had nothing to do with that law which was enacted in England. This is what you call true sovereignty. But what happened in Zambia was really, really terrible, totally unacceptable. It was obnoxious. We saw a tendency where government began to amend that same schedule, maintaining it as the Constitution of Zambia. In 1968, there was a referendum to end all referenda to give the power to government to begin to mutilate that same Schedule 2, which was given. In 1972, the Chona Commission of Inquiry was appointed. The people of Zambia said, time has come to have a constituent assembly to put a legal break to the British system so that we can become truly independent. The UPP government did not accept that. They issued a white paper. Cabinet met and decided what they wanted to put in there. And all they wanted was to outlaw the UPP, which was going certainly to form government, because it became very popular within months, including also stopping ANC, led by Mr. Kumbula, UPP led by Mr. Simon Monseka-Pwepwe. Targeting especially Monseka-Pwepwe, they decided to change the constitution, declaring UNIP as the only political party, outdoing, therefore outlawing political competition. In 1991, the people of Zambia rose. The UNIP government bowed to pressure. They appointed the Vunga Commission. Again, the Vunga Commission of Inquiry made recommendations. The people of Zambia said again, time has come for us to attain what is called constitutional autochthony, that is to have a homegrown constitution, the basic charter of the land. Cabinet still met, and they decided. And in fact, the amendment only provided for pluralism. The MMD government came to power. They forgot what they went through when they were fighting the UNIP, because the MMD entertained some of the same very bad elements who were in UNIP, the bad ones, and from the private sector. They joined forces. Criminals. They appointed the Manakato Constitutional Commission. The people of Zambia said what they said in 1972, what they said in 1991. That it's time to have cabinet outside parliament. It's time for a constituent assembly. A constituent assembly is an act of sovereignty, predominantly because it brings the people from all walks of life to craft the charter of the land. Because the constitution of any country is not just a legal document. It is a charter. It encapsulates the collective aspirations of the people, and it directs their energy towards the realization of the collective dream and the dream of each and every citizen. Because within this collective dream, there are also individual dreams of all the citizens. I'm talking about equality, dignity, and justice for all. This is what the people of Zambia called for. But again, the Chiluba government, the government, they didn't call for a constituent assembly. Cabinet met, they came up with a white paper, they are targeting Kenneth Kaunda. And they altered it that to run for the presidency, your parents must be born in Zambia, and so forth. And they barred Kenneth Kaunda. He became the target because they realized that they were going to lose the power, all the criminal elements were in that MMD government. Mr. Mwanawasa rose to power later. He too appointed another commissioner, talking about the Mungomba Commission. Again, he wanted to go the same route, and yet he was a lawyer, talking about cabinet deciding. But there was pressure. So at least he came up with some semblance of a constituent assembly. It was called the NCC. But even then, the NCC cannot be said to have actually been a constituent assembly. It was not. President Sata rose to power later. What did he do? He also appointed a technical committee on the constitutional making process of Zambia. He died. He's now of blessed memory. The current president took over the country. On 5th, I think it was on 5th January 2016, it was signed. And there was a big celebration at the Independence Stadium. On the same day, UPP held a press conference. And that day, I was in the private sector. I was country director, shall I say, of an international agency, American agency. I decided to go that, I think, because our target was actually to run for the presidency in 2021. But my heart broke. I had to give myself, I said, whereas the party were talking about resources, the party was not ready, I said, I think it's time to begin to fight. We can't wait for 2021. It's time to start to fight now. On that same day, we had a news conference, and I said, cursed be today. Cursed be today when that signature is going to be appended. And I spoke to the men and women by decreeing, men and women who are in the graves, that while you lie in the graves, can you see what has happened today to this republic? And he said, no. And there was a big celebration that finally we have a constitution which will stand the test of time. 2-3 months, a year later, in government, they realized that no. They have made many mistakes and they have become unpopular. What do? No, let's now bring a bill 10. Let's talk about amending the constitution. Barely a term, 5 years. We are talking about the constitution again. There is no country on earth I can assure which is as stupid. There is no country that has a leadership which is as stupid as the current leadership that we have in this country. How many other countries are talking about constitutions? They're talking about the constitution. Zimbabwe is not. And that's, because Zimbabwe, Zimbabwe of course has more other problems than probably Zambia has. They're not talking about the constitution. Botswana is not. Namibia is not. South Africa is not. South Africa is one of the newest states. They are not talking about the constitution. We are talking about the constitution as a public problem. And we even go and bring in a bill 10. Can't we say, you people, haven't you had enough? Haven't you abused this republic and its people enough, its resources and the people enough? Can't you think? Can't you reflect for a moment, you people, with your insatiable, your bottomless, truth from what do you call it, stomachs, your bellies? Can't you think for a moment? Now the same change too of what you call a constitution, which is not a constitution, which is just wake up. The same constitution, what you call, it's a rubbish, it's total trash. But you call it a constitution. You call it a constitution. This same schedule provides for a fair trial. And also that every person must be afforded an opportunity to appear before an impartial bench, an impartial trial, an impartial judiciary. If there is any suspicion that the judiciary or the panel of judges or a judge is impartial, any citizen must have recourse to demand that an impartial judiciary, an impartial judicial officer be appointed to hear a case. And as I've said, we are not dealing with the material case, merits or demerits of the case. We are not dealing with the facts before court because, first of all, to every legal question, every issue, and I'm speaking as a legal scholar, to every issue, there is a legal question just as there are facts. There is legality and then facts. So before you go to facts, we must deal with the law. Let me repeat this. Before you go to facts of the matter, deal with the law. What is the law? Before you deal with the facts. So no wonder when you're appealing, you can say a judge erred in fact and in law. Law takes precedence. Because it's a legal framework which guarantees justice, gives confidence, such that when a judgment is passed, everyone will say, yes, this is fair. All of us as citizens are aware, that's public knowledge, that when Kambwiliz was brought before, when he was indicted for the magistrates' courts on that matter, there are many issues that were raised, quite credible, some of them. That no. He didn't think that was going to receive fair trial. Surely. And this is something that you, the citizens, you and I do not know. Any country where the justice system is functional, something must have been done to change the judicial office. These rights I'm talking about are entrenched in the Constitution. When something is entrenched, it means that nobody must ever fail. I'm talking about government institutions must fail. Nobody must fail to apply what the law says in the land. So certainly, there's no fairness here. Zambia, when you see all these things, you can tell that Zambia is a constitutional monarchy, except that the one who's ruling the country is called the president. A monarchy which has concentrated power at the top. Because when you look at Schedule 2, all the powers those which governor generals had were still maintained. Word for word, you can check. You go and look at the powers of the governor before independence, and then look at Schedule 2, they were maintained. Now what we have done is that we have maintained those powers which were centralized, and therefore whoever becomes president in Zambia becomes like a god or a goddess. This is a problem to the Republic of Zambia. We in the UPP keep calling for a constitutional revolution. We, the people of Zambia, must begin to demand that it's time to have a constitutional autonomy. It's time for the country to have a constitution which is going to guarantee our rights, a constitution which is going to clearly provide for transparency and accountability, and giving the power to the people, to let people in the districts be able to determine the direction of their districts. And this is the strength of the UPP manifesto, the UPP policy, that we shall take power to the counties, each district to become a county, and there will be equal allocation of resources so that all the districts of Zambia can begin to develop at the same pace as a beautiful city-states kind of. We have said this many, many times. And if you, the people of Zambia, do not listen to this, I can assure you there will be no more hope for this country. Bill 10 must be stopped. It's now to stop Bill 10, because this Bill 10 is like an extension of trying of the schemes of the machinations to try and alter the same Schedule 2, which they call the Constitution, so that at all costs, no matter what happens, it's like going to the elections next year will be academic, because they want to hold on to power at all costs. It's not patriotic. Holding on to power when people have said they don't want you, it's not patriotic. It shows ingratitude. Because leaders must demonstrate that they are grateful. When they are given 1 year, say thank you. Go and continue to build the country in another capacity. Building of Zambia is not just about becoming president. It's not about becoming a minister. You can still build Zambia. You can become president one time. People say, no, please go back. Go and start doing something else and contribute to the Republic of Zambia. This is very important. Now, here is what I want to say when I'm talking about justice. You cannot bring up some issues by having in mind, in fact, when I talk about what is called the mens reas, meaning the mental state of the governing authorities, that they had it, what they had in mind is, how do we knock off this person? This one is very coming powerful. How do we knock off this one? How do we kick him out of the rest? They had that mens reas, in terms of the mens reas, not just the actors, just the mens reas. It's there and it can be proved. The mens reas is there. It's very clear, in our view, as a UPP. This is what we believe. Why am I saying so? Because you cannot be doing these things in an election season, and you are targeting opponents. How many criminals do we have in the governing party, in the government today? Clearly non-criminals. And the many crimes that have committed, they are in the open, and the people of Zambia know, but they are being shielded just because they are eating with people they came from the same villages. This is totally unacceptable. This is not the Zambia that my paternal grandmother Chishimba fought for. This is not the Zambia that those men and women who lie in the graves and Sangiros fought for. This is not the kind of Zambia that they fought for. We say no to this. Look at America. There are many serious crimes If you critically pay attention and you read the details, some of the intelligence information concerning Joe Biden and his son, but naturally, ethically, those charges cannot be brought against Joe Biden now. They can't. They can't be brought against Joe Biden's sons, no, until probably after the elections. Because to be clear that you are trying to stop someone, you are trying to do some kind of, if this person, in a country where the justice system functions, if this person really committed these crimes, don't stop him now, because to be clear that you who is in power, you are committing a very serious, corrupt practice, called abuse of authority of office, because you are president of information, so you are trying to take your opponent to court so as to outcompete him. So you can't do that ethically. You can't. So if this person did those crimes and becomes president, but then you have laws, unlike Zambia, because when Zambia once becomes president, it's like you have the immunity, nobody can touch you. You know what I'm talking about? But immunity should not be extended to criminality. This thing that we have put called immunity must be removed. How can you say the president has immunity when the president steals? You no longer call him your excellence or her your excellence. You say Chikabola, chief thief, who you are chief thief. How can you call a thief honorable unless you are also stupid? Jacob Zuma was a sitting president. There are many cases that the opposition brought up and were found to be credible. He was caused to step down because he had stolen. He was a thief, a suspected thief. In this country, what we call Zambia, what we call respect is not respect, is stupidity. If there is anything that I find disgusting, that's why sometimes, if you have a clear mind, it's very difficult to flow in the politics of this country. This country has become a country of fools across the divide, and we blame all politicians. Well, those people are not politicians, it's criminals. Why are you calling criminals politicians? It's utter nonsense to call criminals politicians. Stupidity to call criminals politicians. Those are criminals. Some of them, you knew them even before they rose to those positions. You knew what they did. And then you go ahead, because I've given you money, I've bought which book, you go and vote for them. And you don't want to listen to instructions. The integrity of the judiciary remains critical in Zambia. And it's very important to economic development efforts. Any investor anywhere who begins to question the integrity of the judiciary cannot come to invest in Zambia, even a local investor. Because you do know that if you create a company becomes a legal person. Now, if that company will not receive equality before the law, because a company is a legal person, you cannot invest, you'll be fearful. Because you know that any time, if you say something, you're expressing your opinions, you are going to enlist the Zambian bodies against you. So someone will be mute. Even when they say wrong, they're not talking, because they think that their livelihoods are going to be destroyed. It's abuse of authority of office on the part of anyone who is in power to use these state agencies, tax authorities against another citizen. This country is in a very serious crisis. And you may not see it now, but I can assure you, worse things are yet to come because of criminals who are steering the statecraft of our republic. Zambia, as you have said, because the judiciary is under capture. Where is Grigori Chifire? Where is Grigori Chifire? When you look at that case, we don't want to go into the material details of the case concerning Savenda and the Stanbic. First of all, we're talking about Savenda. Savenda is a Zambian corporation. And then we are talking about this corporation, some of these banks that have come, that have held many of our people, they have put them under siege. And they're externalizing everything. And there are many issues when you look at that matter. Clearly, a prima facie case was there that there was need indeed to let anti-corruption agencies, money laundering agencies, to come in that case. What happens? The judiciary becomes the complainant, the judiciary becomes the judge, the judiciary itself becomes the police. Where? No, because you're using some rules. Some of those rules that you're talking about are cake rules. You go and get the cake rules from the graveyard of colonial masters of Roy Walensky. That's what you're applying on the people who are living today. And you say this is a country of people who are living. And I'm going to speak to you because this Gentile mindset is destroying this country. And I want you to know. And I'm speaking to you as from the Jewish perspective, the Jewish thought on these matters. I spoke about it, I think, the other day or yesterday, that a person who does not have means or resources to try and contribute to change is not different from someone who is dead in the grave yet. There's no difference at all. Now, why are they trying to transform Zambians into people who are like, you are in the graveyard? Because when you're in the graveyard, you can't complain about load shedding. When you're in the graveyard, you can't complain about the plummeting power of the Kwacha. When you're in the graveyard, you can't complain about the small society. Because when you're in the graveyard, you are dead. So if you can't raise issues of these matters, that's not that they were interfering. They're just waiting to announce the date of your race. You should just know that you are dead. You are stupid. You are dead. They're just waiting for a day to announce that when you die, say, just a day that, in fact, this one died a long time ago. Today, I've just announced this day. What I'm saying is very serious, and if you don't understand, I'm telling you, this country, I'm telling you the truth. And the people who suffer, it's not even us who speak. It's you, the same people who do not listen. The other day I was saying that the most important thing to any Jew, every morning, Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, hear, listen. Meaning the life of a chicken is in the ear. If it can't hear that all these predators are coming and so forth, it will be killed. It will be taken away. Presidential directives in Zambia hold this way. Remember the Zambia Malawi Maize Gate, talking about the integrity of the judiciary. We in the UPP wrote to the Chief Justice Irene Mandela that set up a tribunal. We have evidence of the corruption involving the State House and daughter, this Queen Mother of corruption, that she's involved, whatever you call herself, whatever you call her, she's involved. Set up a tribunal. She wrote, and it's in writing, signed that. What did she say? No, we found that at Transglobe and so forth like that, there is no prima facie case. The law does not say when you write to the Chief Justice will hear the case. No, it says the Chief Justice shall appoint a tribunal and shall inform the President that a tribunal has been constituted. And that should you, the person, because there's also a remedy to every legal question, every legal provision, there's a remedy. What is the remedy? In case you bring it maliciously, there's a remedy. Should it be proved that you brought it before when the tribunal is set up, because public resources are being spent, and then later it is proved that it was malicious. There are serious penalties there. So why the worry? And there she wrote like passing judgment. Sitting like a kangaroo court to write to pass judgment. The powers that she does not have. This is what we are talking about. Why? Because we verily believe that there are directives from the king in inverted commas. Because what you have in Zambia is not the president, it's actually a king with powers of, and the kingship I'm talking about is not more than kingship, it's those archaic kingships. Where there's absolute power, absolute authority, that's the situation in Zambia. So when you have a sleeping president, the country goes to sleep. When you have a president who drinks, the country goes to drink. Because when he's drinking, decisions will not be made. The entire country goes to drink whiskey. This is the danger, the tragedy that we find ourselves as a country in. And by the way, in case you did not know, the president of Zambia is not bound by cabinet decisions. Cabinet can say today, tomorrow, you can change, he or she can change. This is what we call, and we say we are in the land of the living, all of us, and we're entertaining evil, we're entertaining injustice in the land. Some of us, we speak when there are so many issues that I brought up in 2017. I was locked up. Where were you? You are not there. It became my bill, my family bill. Sorting out the problems. And yet I spoke. I didn't speak for my pocket. I spoke for your pockets as Zambians. Where were you? And some of the people in government today, then they were removed from cabinet as ministers. You forget people who stand with you in your troubles, and quickly you forget, and then you go back to the same people and you entrust them with power. The same recycled idiots. These are the ones that you go to that please govern us, rule over us. When situations happen, and then you begin to complain. Judicial officers must be above board. From the very beginning, remember, and I'm speaking to a country which claims to understand the Bible. Though you claim you don't understand it at all, by the way, you don't understand it. You don't understand it. You don't understand it. There are people, you are calling yourself pastor, whatever, all kinds of the same kind of category of all these kind of things that I'm talking about. From the very beginning, judges were the ones who were running the affairs of nations from the ancient kingdom of Israel. From Shemuel, that's in Hebrew, in English is Samuel. He was a judge. And people said, want a king. And that's how King Saul was appointed. Was anointed to be king. Otherwise, judges. So the office of judge is sacrosanct. It is sacred. When you're sitting as a judge, you ought to apply every instrument of the legal system, the legal framework of justice to ensure that a person who is standing before you receives a fair trial. This is how important the justice is. You cannot condemn an innocent citizen to go and suffer. When that soul is suffering, I can assure you, whether you are a judge or a magistrate, I can assure you that you will have a day with the sovereign of the universe, the king of the universe. You will have a day. You think that you are you will have a day. There's a price to pay for miscarrying justice in the land. Because many innocent souls are suffering in the country. Use of agencies within the PF itself. By the way, state agencies are not just being used against those who are in the opposition. They are also being abused because they're under capture. They are being abused within the PF. You remember at one time we issued a statement when this case started against this Minister of Welfare, because they're about to go to the convention, and therefore they are trying to find a way to stop all those they thought that were like powerful. Then you come up with cases. What we said came to pass that these people, they are in a hurry, and because they are in a hurry, look at what happened to the case. We said this is academic. It came to pass. People didn't understand what we meant by that. Oh, are you supporting corruption? We said no. We've been very consistent on the subject, this issue of corruption. But we knew that they are trying to use the Anti-Corruption Commission as the Anti-Competition Commission against those who they view to be very powerful, probably that when they go to the convention, they are going to contest. And these matters have not even ended. We know that. They are still targeting who is it. They had started at one time, as long as they just hear a rumor, because they are not listening to the mainstream intelligence service. The intelligence service is not respected. They are listening to Kachimba, party, so-called party intelligence. There are men and women who are in the Zambia intelligence service who are trained. They are in the police, they are in the army. Credible. You are not listening to them. You are listening to Kachimba. These men and women under the UPP will be freed. And we are going to ensure that they operate professionally, and we are going to give them certain guarantees, because this country belongs to all of us and not to the politicians. You don't use these agencies to stop competition. And this brings us briefly. We have another statement to talk about the privatization issues in the Republic of Zambia. This is not the first time that we are speaking about it. I spoke about these issues as Member of Parliament. We spoke about it at the launch of the UPP, that there are so many things that have happened in the country that require justice. So we shall issue a comprehensive statement on this. It is coming. But we want to say this briefly, that the use or the appointment or the bring up of such an inquiry as a tool or a means to convict a suspected opponent in an election year, it's not only stupid, foolish, misguided, and abusive, but also debilitating insofar as democracy is concerned. I gave an example of Joe Biden. There are serious issues, but you cannot bring up such issues because it will be very clear. This is what is called naked retaliation, naked abuse of the justice system. You see that this dog is not dressed, and then you are saying this dog is dressed, and you want to convince people this dog is dressed. This is what is happening in Zambia. Injustice against anyone is injustice against all the people. We were displeased, we had misgivings when Kambwiliz minister was issuing derogatory statements against the Tonga-speaking people. We warned as UPP that an attack against any tribe is an attack on all the tribes of Zambia, an attack of the dignity of the Tonga-speaking people who are the first to come and settle in the Republic of Zambia. Is an attack on Gonis, it's an attack on Bembas, it's an attack on Namwangas, it's an attack on Mambwes, it's an attack on Kaondes, Lundas, it's an attack on all the tribes of Zambia. And if there is anything that must cause us to stick together is when one tribe is attacked. We need to unite. This country belongs to all of us. And this is not a season that anyone cannot be talking about tribe. I have cousins, I have nieces who are Tongas, who are Kaundes, who are Namwangas. I'm telling the truth. This country, we are one people. We have integrated. We are one people. I have my cousin serving in the US Army. Malambo. You know? Why are you talking about all these kind of things? It means that these people are disqualified. They disqualify themselves from leading this country. And this nonsense, the tendency, the propensity to behave as if you would last in government forever when you're serving government must come to an end. Look at what has happened. There's a story of the guillotine. You know the guillotine, the one who used to cut the papers. The person who invented that guillotine is Mr. Guillotine. I think you can Google and research on it. He went to the king and said, no, I've come up with the most efficient way to execute all those people who are convicted to death, who are sentenced to death. Then he invented, said, you just put the head like this and then you just cut one time, the person is dead. And was really applauded for that when he was part of the system. This is the true story, what I'm talking about. He committed offense and was sentenced to death. He was taken before the guillotine. It cut his head. So the monsters that we create in some of the people, when they are using us, they're using you. Know that one time these people that you create, you are praising them, you think that they are God, they will turn against you, because these people, they begin to assume some kind of, this like divinity, they think that they are divine, kind of, and that they will be there forever. You know, this power makes some people who don't think, especially Abasha, to think that they'll be there forever, because the slave mentality, when I'm saying slave mentality, I'm not demeaning the slavery that the continent of Africa, the Jewish people went through. I'm talking about Ubusha in the sense of thinking, Ubusha Ubusha, Ubusha Ubusha. And even the Bible says it's an abomination when slaves are ruling over people who must be kings. There are people in the private sector who are in the church who must be kings. Now they are the ones who are going to receive instruction from common criminals. Some people even you even know them that were criminals. Today they are ministers, they are directing you. And they're saying, yes, Kuchipuba, yes, sir. Kuchipuba. Ichipuba at yes, sir. Yes, madam. Ichipuba. You can't, I can't stand stupidity. I can't stand foolishness. I can't stand it. I can't. Therefore, our position is that any scheme to try and target any political opponent in this season must be shelved and must not be entertained by the people of Zambia. The privatization inquiry must be holistic and above board. It must not be used as an anti-competition inquiry. No, because there are many people. Some of them are in government, others outside government, who are part of the road. And we have so much evidence in our inquiries on these subjects. So we don't want this country to be plunged into chaos just because of a few people who have abused this republic, who have stolen public resources. Look at the issues that are happening. We're talking about Zambia's debt. Zambia's debt, we said it in 2017 that it's actually now at $40 billion. And we took you through all the issues. This was when you launched the anti-corruption crusade, bring back our money, anti-corruption crusade. And it's time to take back our state, as a matter of fact. The World Bank has come closer to these figures today. We have indicated they're saying it's actually about now $27 billion. Because they're being careful. These are international agencies. So finally, they can prove they are certain that actually it's actually $27 billion. It's far more than that. Now, why am I talking about this debt when I'm talking about Chishimba Kambwiliz conviction? I'm talking about this because you Zambians do not know. These debts which have been contracted, the Zambian government has contracted debts with China. Let's say they get $10 billion, $20 billion. Then there's a requirement that a certain percentage be paid by you, the people of Zambia, through the treasury in terms of taxes you pay. Then when you pay that money, China does not bring the money. Then they put a condition that Chinese companies will come to build. Where are the Zambian companies? I know Zambian companies will give them a percentage from the contract switching with the Chinese. How can the owners of the country be the ones who must be going up to line up to China? How many Zambian companies are there which are in China before which Chinese are lining up themselves? We in the UPP, our policy is Zambia first, national interest first. Any other nationality who comes to Zambia is second. We don't care whether you're coming as an investor. Just know that this is our country and you must behave. When you come to Zambia, this is our country. You must be in charge of the economy. We must lead, and you must be the tail. We must be the head. This is the policy of the UPP, and we are not going to apologize to anybody about it. This is our country. Because when you go to their countries, we behave. Why? When they come here, they think that this is a toilet. And they can come and do whatever they want to do, and then we look away, and just because somebody has been corrupted. So now I'm still talking about the extent of the road, by the way. They come, they inflate the prices, by the way. And then these Chinese corporations that come, they are corruption paymasters. Then they pay funds into the offshore accounts of these rulers. More than 50% of this $40 billion is in offshore accounts. These men that you are seeing, they are billionaires, I can assure you. They have looted, they have abused the republic. And when those monies are taken outside, then they come to the people of Zambia through high taxes. Look at the cost of living in the country. Look at the price of minimum. Look at everything. When you have 1,000 kwacha, that 1,000 kwacha, whatever it was able to buy 10 years ago or 5 years ago today you buy something in a cup, in a glass. That's it. That's how this country has been destroyed. And the West is to come, especially as the repayment comes. Today they are admitting. That time, what was the response? They threw me in prison. That I defamed the president. And then I was talking about Zambia. I was not talking about the president. When I was saying it was not insulting. I was saying, let's not run this country as if it's your father's estate. Run this country knowing that it's a republic, it's an estate for all the people of Zambia. It was a very fair statement. I was put in prison. And you didn't come, you the people of Zambia. They became my PU. That this is how irresponsible the Zambian citizens have become. Very irresponsible people. Very, very, very irresponsible. So now, all these crimes to do with the corruptions of RDA, corruption at local government, corruption at the Ministry of Infrastructure, all these scandals, huge scandals involving billions. The people who are criminals, they are ministers, they have not been convicted. Now, that issue of Kambwiliz become a big priority. These issues involving the retrieval of money, because these people have committed economic crimes, and there are people who have died in the process. They have died on the roads, because roads have not been done properly. There have been many accidents in Zambia. This land of Zambia has taken so much innocent blood, because rulers were ineffective, because rulers were stealing. Even the Bible says, "Cursed be a nation whose rulers think of their stomachs in the morning." That's what they think of. And China is working in cahoots with all these PF looters. And some of these looters, by the way, I must say this is historic. It started from the Mwemdi government. They are also in other option groupings. Some were ministers of finance, local government, information, and suddenly they want to claim that, no, we have a plan for Zambia. Why is it that they will do what they didn't do then? Some political parties are under capture already, and we, the citizens of Zambia, must arise. That's why we are calling you to rally behind the UPP. We are revolutionary crusaders, nationalists, and we want to give you a platform to run for office so that we can take over our country. It's time to take back our country. Selective application of the law has also been used to fix those perceived to belong to other tribes, meaning the tribes that rulers are not members of. That's what has been happening. Someone has committed a crime, now you check, oh, this one is from my village. It's okay. They'll call them Corruption Commission or job agency. Don't pursue this case, because they come from the same village. There are many serious cases with evidence, ministers. Look at this same Queen Mother of Corruption, dollar Syria. This Simon Imiti, Secretary to Cabinet Simon Imiti, the Supreme Court, you know the case, the court said that he must be indicted, because those scandals of Kapoko, there is no way they could have gone without the PS. It was a syndicate, so a very serious crime. In fact, Kapoko is like even insignificant in that case. It's there in the judgment. Sata wanted to pursue him, Sata died, the case died with Sata. And then we have a new government. He's even promoted, he becomes civil servant number 1. Vincent Mwari, the same. Now, when you're looking at all this, and we can go through the entire list. They are working free. Why? Is it because they're coming from the same village as you? This is not acceptable. This is not good. And when I'm talking about these matters, what we are saying is that this naked reiteration, naked way of doing things of miscarrying justice is not good in the country. We want to save this republic, and we as nationalists are giving counsel. We are very fair. We are saying even in the opposition, there are people that must not be ever entrusted with power. In fact, we look at some groupings. The PF may even be said to be better, because all criminals have gone in there. Some of them have even some cases that we cannot allow this. We can't keep going back to the same people to rule over us as citizens. It's time for the new people to rise from their caves to save this country. Now, I come to Chishimba Kambwiliz. I have a bit of history with it. We were elected to parliament in the same way, first election to parliament as PF parliamentarians. We fought many battles. We fought for the miners. Tens of thousands of miners were about to lose jobs. If you see the exact picture on social media, I gave one of my toggers, you have seen, one of them. I put on this same one, and then I gave him another one. And then we went to go and protest before President Banda during International Women's Day. It was very dangerous to do so. We went. State operatives, wisdom, it was very, very dangerous. But we decided to risk our lives in order to call for a protection of jobs on the mines. Because some mining investors had pulled out, and government was saying it wasn't going to do anything about it. But eventually the government intervened, and that's how tens of thousands of jobs on the copper belt were saved. So I have this history together. Now, I'm going to start with Chishimba Kambwiliz to tell you what happened when I decided to resign as a member of parliament in 2012. He was the last MP, together with his wife, Baba Mlamu. Mrs. Kambwiliz to come and talk to me. I said to Chishimba Kambwiliz in his space, that Chishimba Kambwiliz, PF has been taken over. The same people are ministers, now they have been fired, they have come to join us, and the president has given them positions. He said to me, we shall control them. I said, Kambwiliz, that's academic, it will not happen. This is not PF. In 2009, that's why the people of Zambia, in all honesty, they must entrust, I think, this confidence to govern this republic in the UPP. And I believe I'm fully qualified to run this Republic of Zambia. I'm foresighted in 2009. And I said, I'm quitting. And it was 3 weeks before midterm gratuities were paid. I said, I'm quitting. I can't be part of this nonsense. I don't entertain nonsense. I didn't come here for money. I am educated. I can raise my own money. I didn't come into politics for money. I came for service because I was brought up like that in a family of freedom fighters to love country and to bring about change, to transform lives. That is my motto. That's my motto. Service to humanity. That is my motto. Service to the Almighty, owner of the universe, through doing mitzvot, through doing mitzvot. That's sorry, I'm going to Hebrew. Through acts of kindness, if you may use that word. This is what all of us must actually aspire to do. Then Kambwiliz said we shall control them. I said, you mean it? I said, yeah, we shall control them. Because we need numbers. Let President Sata give them positions. And I'm sure that sounds like one of the political groupings. Same catch. I said, Kambwiliz, this has been taken off. So today he's in prison. When they allow us to go, I'm told by Sunday they're going to announce. You know? So what did I say? It's not that I'm saying I'm trying to, but you have no idea. I feel the pain because I said this in 2009. That you will not control them. Then I told him that my fear is this. When I look at President Sata's health, there is no way, even if he became president or whatever, I don't think that is going to, I'm not saying that I'm a prophet of doom, but I said, you know what? These people will take over because they are already entrenched. Some of them were UPND, they were UPND for Nalolo. This vice president was UPND MP for Nalolo. So she came up with her UPND policies. She was given national chairperson of the party. I can go through the list. Even the current president was UPND, all those people. So what we are seeing is this not PF. We are seeing a combination of MMD, UPND kind of confusion in the government, in the PF now. Those are not PF. Real PF are outside. They are just washing that linen. They steal, and then some of them have been condemned to the party secretariat of the PF. The real PF are there at the party secretariat to wash the dead linen of the people who were in the front bench then. Today they are still in the front bench. The other thing is that when I resigned, I said, this party is under capture. He didn't listen. He has been hounded out by the same people who are then in the other side. He was the first, among the first victims to be hounded out. But before he was hounded out, as Minister of Information, suspected set operatives, when we launched the Bring Back Our Man Anti-Corruption campaign, they broke into my house and took all the documents. But we're just wasting their time because these days you can have a physical document, but then you put them in the cloud. In some other countries, you can put them in the cloud. Issued a statement that what kind of a leader is he? Why didn't he have information that people are going to break into his house? That was the statement he said. And then PF will rule for 100 years. 3 weeks later, I was fired as minister. This is a lesson to all of us. I'm not judging him. It's a lesson to all of us. He was removed. Chishimba Kambwiliz cannot be removed from the history of the PF in terms of the people who stood up. We stood up. We fought many battles together. Chishimba Kambwiliz and I was particularly targeted. Chishimba Kambwiliz and I were carrying food in briefcases. In fact, not in briefcase, in my briefcase. Because sometimes Chishimba Kambwiliz is a little bit trusting, not me. I understand so many things. So one day, from Parliament, we go to Montella, say, then I'll go and whisper. He goes to sit to get this a la carte at the Montella. I'll go to whisper. I've just received intel. How did you? I said, no, let's not eat. He said, yes. But where do you get the food? I said, I have food in my briefcase. This is what we went through. These people are now ruling us again. What they were then targeting this, do this, just do this to them. We are carrying food in the briefcase. Toothbrushes, everything in the briefcase. Wherever you are going, we have a briefcase. That's how dangerous these elements that we have. They are criminals. These ones who took over the PF before it even formed the government. And just as they are taking over other parties before, when they're still in opposition, they take over them. You don't entertain that. What happens? You are with people, you form a party, you are together, you have the same ideologies. Suddenly, when the same recycled ones come, you start to remove people. So you're saying that those ones are the ones with you. So when you tell the people who suffer with that you are stupid, you are with them, say, you people are together and you are stupid people, please go out, let's bring the same recycled people. That's what they are saying. And you Zambians say, yeah, this is the alternative, quite people, this is the alternative. What kind of stupidity is that? Stupid to be doing things like that. Now, Chishimba Kambwiliz. There's many challenges, many issues. And I do believe that what has happened is totally unacceptable. This man went across the country. He went to Wapra province. He went to the Copper Belt. He went to other provinces. He went to Muchinga to campaign in 2016, in 2015 and 2016. Changing the tide in the last minute like that. Surely. Now, after laboring like that, now to say thank you, let's send him to Chimbokai. And let's use one of whoever, please go to one complaint. We use these people who think with their stomachs. And there he is. So it's not about the facts. It's about the conduct of trial. Because justice must not only be done, but it must also be seen to be done. This is the principle. I want to say this to Mrs. Chishimba Kambwiliz. I want to say this to Mwamba, to Kabamba, Mwamba, Chanda, Bampundu. I want to say this. That I know it's a very difficult moment. When I was politically detained for 7 days and 7 nights, you have no idea what my children went through. Every morning crying, going to school, when he started coming. And these are brilliant children. Very organizing, just for speaking for the country. And I must say that before I was even picked, it was everywhere. And what is it here that they're going to arrest Daddy? There are many people who have destroyed this country of Zambia, who have stolen. And have done so many things. And it's not even about all these things. There are more serious crimes in this. I'm not saying that I'm belittling any crime, and I'm not dealing with the facts. No, that's not what we are dealing with, by the way, tonight. We are just dealing with the law as it is. That the current justice system in Zambia, I'm telling you, you can't call it a justice system. It's a system, a machinery to miscarry justice, which is open to abuse by those who are in the governing authority. And this is very dangerous to the Republic of Zambia. So I want to say to the Chishimba Kambwiliz family that our prayers are with you, because clearly we do not believe that this is what we call justice in the land from the constitutional perspective. Legally, it's a very painful moment. I failed to eat yesterday. True to now, by the way, as soon as I said true to now, I tried to eat something, I ate some fruits. I'm telling the truth, some fruits. I don't know what has happened to my appetite. Because I'm thinking of what we went through to build the PF. If there are people who built the PF, there are those people who are called the rebels, by the way. That was the cream of the PF. They were called rebels because President Sada did not understand. Those people are trying to tell Sada this tendency of making, but people, they were, vitriol was held against them. Those people, they were the cream of the PF. And today they have indicated, because they saw that the way President Sada was going, he needed to be put in check. Because the issue of the NCC, many Zambians don't understand it. There was a meeting, and President Sada said, first of all, it's a PF. President Sada, the PF, that pushed for the NCC. They were saying, okay, if we can't have a constituent assembly, let's go the Kenya way to have a constituency, an NCC like Kenya. The day President Mwanawasa finally bowed to pressure, I was the first person to be called by President Sada. He said, finally Mwanawasa has given in to our advice. And one of the letters, we did it in his office, he called me, you are good at writing, come we write one to thank Mwanawasa for the NCC. I remember when in fact put the table, I think that letter on the table, they said, President Sada, thank Mwanawasa for the NCC. Why they change? Now here's what happened. You Zambians don't pay attention to details and don't want to listen because you are too emotional. You didn't want to pay attention to details. And we had the workshop at Mika Lodge, all MPs. And President Sada was there. And at that lodge, you are being told, okay, you Saviour, you are very good. And I was told that I was going to be the first to debate. And I'm telling you that you are the one who debate. All of you, Chishimba researchers, so you lead the debate and guys go to follow. Please, citizens, go to the records of parliament. Debates on the NCC, I was the first to debate. Not even from UPP, EPF, me, first opportunity to member to debate. Then the next was Guy Scott, then others like that. That's what happened. Because they are the blessings of the party. Then, a few weeks later, the Catholic Church announced that they were not going to participate in the NCC. President had told us to go and fight right there, too. And they said, this close, like that. So when the Catholic Church announced, President had before, instead of going for a meeting, the news conference said, PF will not go. So everybody said, you have misled us. Now we've been embarrassed. That was that issue about. Those who can't go, those poor rebels, no. And meaning that you are behaving, PF is for everyone, it's not for you. That was the issue. You Zambians didn't understand all these things because you are too simplistic. You can't afford to be simplistic when it comes to national matters. So this issue of what has happened to Chishimba Kambwiliz, it's not something that anybody can smile about and say this is good and so forth. No. It's very painful.